Yeah.
My favorite.
It's Judd's Hockey Show.
Am I excited for this show? Am I excited for this show? So much to talk about, so much to get into. Judd's Hockey Show, the extravaganza edition. Jessi Pierce, NHL.com, covers the Wild. Also, if you are not tuning in, if you're not watching Bar Down Beauties with Jessi and Kirsten Krull, make sure that you do. They're part of the SKOR North family now. They do great work. They sling hot takes as well. And so that is a show that's part of our hockey community here you want to check out. And, of course, AJ Fredrickson, as always, co-hosting, producing, doing all of that great stuff that I would be incapable of doing and would collapse if I was asked to. So we will get into the big decision on the goal last night by the officials. We will get into the overall performance of the Wild as they wrap up a homestand. But, you know, I got to be honest, we've seen some hockey so far at Grand Casino Arena that's not been up to snuff. So I want to talk to you about a hockey tournament that's going to be up to snuff. It's going to be fantastic. It's going to be at Grand Casino Arena and 3M at Mariucci. And, of course, I'm talking about the 2026 World Junior Hockey Championships, which begin December the 26th. They go through January 5th. 50th anniversary of an annual tournament that I consider to be the best annual tournament in sports. That includes NCAA basketball. The World Juniors haven't been here since 1982. It's the best under 20 players in the world. Future National Hockey League stars competing on our ice right here. Single game tickets on sale now starting at $39. World Juniors, mn26.com. World Juniors, mn26.com for ticket information. All right, guys. I guess I'll just set this up. And we'll start with Jessi, because I want your thoughts. Rule 63.7. So last night, the Wild, first of all, Steven Stamkos ties the game for the Predators with 0.3 of a second left. And so we go to overtime. And the Wild wins it on a Marcus Johansson goal that is ruled a goal because the Nashville goaltender knocked the net off. And Johansson had a scoring opportunity, which he didn't convert on in his first opportunity. He then tucked the puck in as sort of an obligatory, I guess I'll do this, which ended up probably being very, very smart. But let's get to what the rule states, and then let's get to opinions on what you think of this. Interestingly enough, this same exact thing has happened a couple of times of late, including in a Ducks-Red Wings game where John Gibson, who Jessi is a big fan of. She's always been a big John Gibson gal. She's a John Gibson gal for a guy. Where he did this exact same thing for Detroit, and it was called a goal for the Ducks. But the rule states this. In the event that the goalpost is displaced either deliberately or accidentally by a defending player prior to the puck crossing the goal line between the normal position of the goalpost, the referee may award a goal. In order to award a goal, though, in this situation, the goalpost must have been displaced by the actions of a defending player. The attacking player must have an imminent scoring opportunity prior to the goalpost being displaced, and it must be determined that the puck would have entered the net between the normal position of the goalposts, okay? So in the Friday night game, every criteria of that was met. Gibson knocked the net off, puck was going in, puck goes in. Ordinary situation, goal doesn't move, that's a goal. That was a very good call. But Jessi, what was your interpretation of what we saw last night from Johansson at the side of the net when he took the Kaprizov pass, and the goaltender did knock the net? I mean, that's a good start. He knocked the net off the moorings.
I like the idea of the rule itself, but there's so much gray area, and it's so situational, which makes it really tough to make such a definitive rule. And like Steven Stamkos told us post-game, the way the official emphatically called it a goal without really fully reviewing it initially, I think, is what set Nashville off. First things first, I despise when goaltenders knock the moorings off and they nudge it. And Juice, as they call him in Nashville, mostly because I can't say his full name, so I'm not going to try, but Juice did it on the shift prior too. I saw him try to lift the back of the net up very deliberately. He wasn't hiding that. That was an action that had become a theme. He also had done it, I believe, in the second period as well. Very Matt Murray-like, if you will. I despise when goaltenders do that. I mean, sure, if you're not cheating, you're not trying, but nonetheless, so let's get that very clear. So it was a deliberate action. It was something that had been repetitive behavior. where it gets very kind of Nashville gets hosed for me. Marcus Johansson misses that initial shot. And as Steven Stamkos further explained, if the net hadn't gone off the moorings, that second rebound doesn't come back to him in the first place. The only reason the rebound popped back to Johansson is because the net had gotten off the moorings, shifted a little bit, so the puck went into the netting, bounced back to Johansson, who, smart on Johansson's play to continue with it and still try to get the puck across the goal line. But again, that situation then doesn't happen. The play should have been called dead probably prior to Johansson going around and finishing it had this rule not been intact. So I think Nashville, again, gets hosed a little bit. Nashville deserved better than what they got, period. I don't think they deserved to lose that game at all. Nashville was the better team last night. But that's a really sketchy one for me because, again, Johansson missing that initial shot, not probably getting the rebound. And if he had gotten the rebound, it was probably going to go back behind the goal in the first place. Like, I don't know that as the rules define it, where it's an imminent goal, I don't think that was going to be the case for Marcus Johansson last night.
I might sound crazy, but I don't mind how it played out. Like, if you knock the net off and then that leads to a goal getting scored, sure, you should be punished for that. You shouldn't be able to just keep pushing it off. And granted, is he trying to push across? There's that whole argument there. Was it deliberate? Was it not? But I think it comes down to the wording of the rule, which is an imminent scoring chance. It's not immediate. It's imminent. And imminent is about to happen or like is happening soon. I mean, that's up for a lot of interpretation still too. Like it was a second opportunity. I'll give you that. But it's not like it was like a minute later. It wasn't 10 seconds later. It was off the side of the goal that was kind of pivoting around, and then he just put it through what would have been the opening of the goal. So I think based on how it's like worded, it is the right call. And ultimately, I think Toronto does get the final say. And
they did.
Yeah, they did. They reviewed. Yeah, they reviewed it. And it was fairly quick, though, even. Toronto came back pretty quickly, I felt, afterward, too, considering what was at stake at that time.
And just to be clear, that was actually the backup goaltender, Justice Anunen. Is that right?
Anunen, yeah. But they call him Juice, too.
Oh, he's Juice, too. Sorry, because I saw Saros. I'm sorry.
No,
so there's two
Juices. Earlier, because I was like, well, isn't it Juice? And they're like, yeah. And I was like, but Juice is Saros. And
I'm sorry.
They call him
My
Juice,
bad.
too.
It's like Vancouver with their Pedersens.
I think it's like Juice and Juice. I feel like
that's a bunch of crap because I got thoroughly confused there.
I apologize.
My bad.
No, that's
my bad.
I meant unanen.
Yeah, exactly. And it's yes. Both are hard to pronounce. So Age, I agree with part of your point, but here's my problem, and this is where I sort of side with Jessi is okay, let's extrapolate this. If that play, so I think if the Friday night play happens in a playoff game, it's a clear goal. If that play last night happens in overtime of a playoff game, do they easily call that a goal? Because to me, I have the same argument with that play that I do, and this is allowed a lot of times, but continuation in basketball, where it's like, okay, you got fouled, you sort of basically stopped and threw the ball up, and you still get the basket. Like you're not going. This is not the original play. You're just and in the case of Johansson, I think if he can't get the goal across the goal line on that shot. First of all, why am I going to assume that and I know he said a nice year, but why am I going to assume he scores that goal? And second of all, I think like on an arbitrary November night, okay, we'll forget about this pretty quickly. But I just think that rule is ripe for being rewritten. And if you can't score on if the puck doesn't cross the net as part of the initial sequence, I think it should be a penalty, a delay of game penalty.
Yeah.
Now, if Johansson had scored, when the net was coming off, then I think it's a goal. But like they basically just decided, I guess where I'm a little bit like, ooh, that's not good is Jessi's right. They just sort of decided, well, that was an imminent scoring chance. They applied the rule correctly. I don't like the rule. And again, I would ask, I saw immediately Dave Jackson, who's never seen a call he doesn't love, ESPN rules guy. He's unbelievable. Like you could see a man killed at center ice, no penalty, and Dave would be like, well, that's a pretty good call by the officials there. But my issue...
67-C
Yes.
subsection B
Yes.
says that if it was done on a Tuesday, it's fine. No.
Exactly. So
And there was
anyway,
goaltender interference down on the other end, so it's fine. It's totally okay. Let it slide.
yes, he is dead. But that goaltender interference, that's the real problem. That's a
We might have to call it back for offsides.
Go back.
They're reviewing the right thing here, guys. I think they're doing a fantastic job. Now I'm going to go back to my couch because I'm at home in front of a StreamYard feed. So that's where I have the problem. I thought Stamkos had the best interpretation.
Yeah.
Which is the net coming off changed the entire thing, and you're just assuming a goal. And again, let's be honest, too. If that's Kaprizov shoveling that puck, I'm like, okay, yeah, imminent. He was going to score. Marcus Johansson, I'm like, my God, if we get this in May and some slappy is standing at the side of the net, and they're like, that's a goal, series over, I can't see it. But anyway, I digress. Let's talk about the game. Because that's where we need to really get to, okay? Wilds played, I don't know how many games. Expansion season was 2000, 2001. And there have been a lot of dog performances. How many times do you think they've gotten 2 points out of that big of a dog performance? Because Jessi, and I did sense John Hines was happy they got the 2 points, but was not pleased at all. We tried to torture it into the first period, which I thought was not good, was okay. The second period was a gong show. The third period, but I think Nashville was so pissed off, and rightfully so, because they on a back-to-back overtime the night before, they outplayed the Wild badly, and the Wild had been sitting on their couch. Please explain that to me.
It was brutal. It was really, really tough to watch because I had asked John Hines literally that morning. I said, how imperative is it going to be to have a good start? You know, you guys are coming off a win. You guys are rested. You had the day off Sunday. You had a mediocre practice Monday. And Nashville's coming off an overtime, as you mentioned, loss to the Vancouver Canucks the night before. And Nashville's still just trying to battle their way through. They are above the Minnesota Wild in the standings, for the record, too. So it's not like you knew Nashville was going to come dragging bones, but it was a game that Minnesota, in order to define themselves and follow up their own victory from the other night, I needed 5 goals. I needed 6 goals. I needed 7 goals. There's no reason you shouldn't have been able to accomplish that. So I had asked John Hines about the start, and Hines, and I've got my quote here, he said, "We've had some really good games, but we didn't follow them up." Well, you didn't follow it up again last night, Johnny. Like, it's frustrating to watch. And then don't even get me started. You thought the first period was bad. And yes, sure, people will say, oh, but they got the goal. Well, you're looking at the box score. You didn't watch the game if you're just looking at the box score, because they capitalized on the power play. That's great. It was sloppy on both sides. So Minnesota was blessed that Nashville was also playing fairly poor in that first period. The second period, the Predators were everything. They dominated that entire period, even into the third. 14-4, they outshot the Minnesota Wild. They had puck possession for like 4 minutes at one point in time. It was absolutely insane. And I think John Hines even struggled to articulate all of the problems that we saw in that second period. You know, he talked about execution, and I had to follow up saying, well, what about the execution, though? Like, what areas particularly do you need to focus on? For a team that struggles with the details, they also seem to struggle to grasp how to fix those details. The breakouts, the zone entries, like everything it just wasn't there. Sure, you were winning a couple faceoffs, but that was about the only glimmer that you saw. So it was a game that Minnesota didn't deserve to win. They were lucky to get 2 points. They were lucky to get a point out of it, right? And good on them. It's not a win that's going to convince me that this team's any better than what we've been seeing this season so far.
Yeah, I watched the game at home from last night, but going into the second intermission, was sitting on the couch, and I was like, how does this team have a lead right now? They've done nothing. In that second period was atrocious. Everything about that second period, besides the goal that they scored late, but they were dominated. It was what, like 5 shots on goal, I think, maybe even less. Like maybe I'm just making that up, but it was 4. It was 4
shots on goal.
Nashville looked like they were playing like one of the local high school teams. Not that the local high school teams are bad, but they're professionals. They should be making them look silly, and that's what the Wild looked like for most of the second period. And then whether it's good goaltending, or maybe it's just that Nashville isn't that good and wasn't able to find the back of the net, but that it felt like the Wild should have been going into the third trailing by probably 2 or 3 goals. So the fact that they had a lead, one, was miraculous. Anything less than that is pretty impressive. But it's part of me still wants to, like, because this is the first time I think they've had two wins in a row all season long. Mm-hmm. So part of me wants to be like, well, at least they're finding a way. But it's really inexcusable when you play like that. It was just really bad to watch. Now this is two bad visual wins back to back, I feel like, because I don't think the win the other night was necessarily like the most peaches and cream, everything is kumbaya, happy, you're clicking on all cylinders type of win. Last night, not the case either. You give up a goal with 0.2 seconds left when you should have easily been able to clear the zone or just eat the puck in the corner for 5 seconds. But then you go to overtime, and now it casts everything into, well, you're now a division opponent who right now is a point ahead of you. Right now, you're tied with them if you just close that game out and not with a failed clearance, Joel Eriksson Ek.
So there was we'll get to the game tying goal by Stamkos, but in the second period there, so former golfer Matthew Wood scored at the 5:16 mark to tie the score. And I believe that for the next approximately 4 minutes, Nashville had the puck, had control in the Wild zone. I think they changed lines like 3 times. The Wild couldn't get off. I mean, Tarasenko finally iced the puck at the end of this debacle, which meant they had to stay on the ice. But it was so bad that their preference, and Tarasenko was right, was just to stop the play for just a moment. I mean, that to me, and fans were booing, and rightfully so. It looked like varsity versus JV. And that was, I thought, my God, which team was on the couch last night watching television, and which team was playing an OT game in a different city? And of course, the Predators, as Jessi said, were playing the Canucks. But I mean, that's the thing is like, and because of how the game came to an end, and it was so frenetic, I felt like John Hines didn't get asked a ton of questions about like the focus, if the Wild had just won, I think would have been on how poorly can you play. But I mean, Jess, they get done with a 2-2-2 homestand. And last night would have felt like vindication if you had lost like a bunch of like close games. Like if you were playing really well and you're like, well, the hockey gods finally smiled upon your team, right? Yeah. But it wasn't that way, and you still got to win. But I'm struggling with how to interpret it because this, 2-2-2 to me still feels like they won one game.
100%. Again, there isn't anything good that I'm going to take away from that victory in Nashville, and you barely took away anything good, as AJ said, against the victory in Vancouver. Now you're going on the road for 2 against Carolina, who is injury hampered, so that'll slow them down just a smidge maybe, but not much. And then back-to-back, so you go to the Island, and Matthew Schaefer, who's doing incredible things for that organization, too, a fun team. That's not great. You should beat Calgary, but I don't have the confidence that they're going to beat Calgary on Sunday. Like it is, no. It's that snowball effect. I spoke with Ryan Hartman for a different subject, but he had mentioned, how you're trying to stop the bleeding all the time when you're in these situations. And I don't think there's enough gauze in the world at this point to stop it, because I don't think that they can figure it out. Like, I don't know. And then when they come away with 2 points, you're right, I don't think there's enough self-reflection to look within and be like, okay, we got the 2 points, but we did nothing right. Like, it wasn't. You look at not Marco Rossi, excuse me, who scored that side? Z. Williams. No.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yes.
Z. Williams, right? Yeah, like, okay, fine and well, but you're right. You had no possession that that was the third shot of the period for that. That was the third shot of the period.
On the power
play. On the power play.
I think you had one. I think that might have been the only shot of that power play.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, exactly. And it's frustrating. The only thing that calms my frustrations, they are exactly who we've thought they were. They haven't showed us any different. There's no reason, to quote the late, great Denny Green, they are who we thought they were. So,
yeah.
Crown them, whatever.
Yeah. Unfortunately, though, but like you just brought up, I think, what is the appropriate term here, which is it would be different if you felt like, okay, they're not that good, but there's a lot of self-reflection, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And I guess, I'll go back to the question. Matt Zuccarello, I think he's 38. He hasn't played this season yet. Sounds like he might be back on this trip on the second game against the Islanders on Friday, that there's at least a chance. But anyway, like, is Matt Zuccarello going to save the day? And I just continue to think that's not even fair. Like, he'll help. He's a nice player. He and Kaprizov have a chemistry. Eric, Eriksson Ek, let's talk about him for a second, okay? Have you guys been as underwhelmed by him as I have? Now, first of all, he's on a bargain contract, so that's awesome. He has been an overachieving player who works his ass off. And by the way, I think he's still working hard. So I'm not accusing him of dogging it. But like last night on a faceoff where he is still entrusted, it's like, dude, you have to win a faceoff. He was 11 of 15, and I swear to God, with the goaltender pulled, with Juice 1 or Juice 2 pulled for the Predators there in the third period, I swear to God, the Wild did not win a faceoff. Like, it felt like Nashville got possession every time. And then, at the end there, right before the Stamkos goal, and I know the puck hit the referee, okay? Let's quit blaming outside factors. The puck hit the referee, went back to the point. The point man got the puck across to Stammer. Stammer scored a great goal. But what are we doing there? You're a veteran. That puck goes in the corner, in my opinion. Or you skate it to the corner, because I'm going to tell you something else. The league is now, and I don't know why I hate this, but they are. If you go and literally go to the corner and go old school, when I was a kid, put your skate on the puck, they ain't calling it anymore. They're barely getting you to move it. You're seeing huge chunks of time. And by the way, there weren't a lot of huge chunks of time there. Eriksson Ek, I'm not questioning you. You're still trying. But to me, it feels like he is a shell of the guy, because he was consistent, that we had seen previously.
It seems like the flash of his game is gone, but like some of the basic fundamentals, like the hard work and getting just beat up after plays, is still there, because that's just who he is. But you're right. And maybe it's something where he looks at he pulls up cap wages like I do, and it's like, well, I'm only making $5.5 million, make $5.25 million compared, and I'm supposedly I'm a top 2 center on this team. Maybe that affects his mental state of approaching the game or something like that, and maybe it compounds with how bad of a start they've had. And the work and motor, I think, is there, but there's just like little things that he's just not doing anymore. And the IQ and the heads up, I feel like last year, 2 years ago, I would trust him to just go to the corner. I mean, we've seen this when the Sharks were in town. They probably pulled that move when they were up by a goal or two against the Wild. They probably killed collective 3 minutes of game time just by going to the corner and eating the puck, because the refs don't do anything. And especially in that situation last night where there's less than 10 seconds left, if you go to the corner and just pin along the wall, the ref is not going to do anything. You're in a home building. The crowd is going to enjoy that. Like, you're killing the game off. They're not going to say, oh, wait, hold on. Let's stop here. Let's give Nashville one more chance to win the faceoff. We know they're going to in the offensive zone. So it just felt like a huge mental lapse by him that I would not expect. I think he's still playing all right, like overall, considering his role, but there is a lot of stuff that I feel is missing, that maybe I was giving him, I was cutting him some slack on the first like week or two of the season, because when you look at his line at the time, I didn't expect much from Tarasenko. I didn't expect much from Johansson. Well, Johansson is now arguably your best player on your top line. Tarasenko had that coming out party against Vancouver the other night, so I didn't think he played that great last night, but that's to each his own. But I expect Joel Eriksson Ek to be kind of a constant presence of exactly, we know what he is. He's stable. He's sort of like a defenseman. He's like Brock or Brodin on the blue line, where as a center, I know what I'm getting. There's nothing less. I felt like last night and maybe the last couple games, we're getting a little bit less, which I don't know if I'm concerned about it, but if he snaps out of it, then there's no worries and we can just move on.
He's just not as effective in his role as he's been in years past, right? Which is I hate to see, I keep using that word, but it's frustrating to watch, because he's still going to the net front. He's still getting in those greasy areas, but for whatever reason, it's just not as effective as it's been in years past. And part of that's on the rest of the offense not really getting those pucks to the net, not putting the shots down there for him to get down. I mean, there's that to be considered, but it's growing more alarming that he's performing the way, or underwhelming again. I think this week was the first time in discussing trade conversations that I didn't say I would for sure protect Joel Eriksson Ek. I said, you know what, maybe I would explore that option for the right price, just because I've been underwhelmed with him. I'm not saying get rid of him. Let's not take that out of context by any stretch, because I know somebody will. I'm just saying for the first time, I'm not immediately like, yep, nope, Joel Eriksson Ek is a no-go for me. He's a definite hold. Like, I'm like, maybe. But again, he's not the only one. It's up and down the lineup that they are all just very like, there it is. That's what it is. Like, it's just, I just don't know.
Yeah, it's just weird with him because I think he cares a lot. Like, I think he's a good teammate. There's certainly been guys who you're like, that guy is not a good teammate. That guy doesn't really care. This is not the case with him. And the face-off thing is just so glaring because he takes so many face-offs in your own zone. And even the analytically driven hockey fan can't tell me that with the goaltender pulled and the face-off in your zone, that it's like, no big deal. You just, who cares? Puck position. Puck position's everything. I've got a line question for Jess that we talked about in the press box last night. But before we do that, guys, I want to talk to you about the SeatGeek app because I am there right now hunting around, and I'm going to tell you, if you are looking for tickets for a game, SeatGeek has them. I'm checking out here. They've got tickets for the Ravens-Vikings game on Sunday. They've got tickets for a variety of sporting events, and not just that, but concerts as well, Broadway shows. And with more than 35 million downloads, SeatGeek is the #1 rated ticketing app. Here's what you do, because every ticket is backed by their buyer guarantee, and each ticket is rated on a scale of 1 to 10, so you know exactly what you're getting. Use the code JUDD10, JUDD10, for 10% off your next set of tickets at SeatGeek. That's 10% off any tickets with promo code JUDD10. Make sure you've got that SeatGeek app on your phone. All right, Jessi, I asked you this last night, and you said that you guys had actually asked Hines this. So, okay, so we have seen, and I agreed with this initially. Start of the season, Matt Boldy, I think, scored 4 goals in the first 4 games. He was on a line with Kaprizov, and we're like, you're probably going to have to break them up to sort of disperse the scoring. But Matt Boldy, I believe, has 1 goal since then. And furthermore, it's not like they have been lighting up the scoreboard. So last night I said, why don't they just put Boldy and Kaprizov back together, call it a day until Zuccarello gets back, and allow those two to play together because Boldy's not scoring now. Mm-hmm. And you said, we asked John Hines that question because it just, I believe they put them together late in like the first period or something, just for one shift. It was just a one-off. But you said, yeah, we asked Hines that question, and he sort of dismissed that. And I'm just a little bit confused as to why, because Matt Boldy, again, has 1 goal since those first 4 games, and I don't even think he's particularly playing poorly. Like, I don't think he's checked out. I just think that playing with Kaprizov got the most from both of those guys. And Marcus Johansson, yes, you're off to a good start. Yes, you scored the very controversial winning goal. But Marcus Johansson 5-on-5 and Matt Boldy 5-on-5 with Kaprizov, it's not rocket science to figure out, I wonder who could generate more goals. The analytics, I'm sure, speak to this, and I know that Sports Dad's aging eyes speak to this.
I know. Apologies. I'm not ignoring you, but I was going back to the quotes to see if I could find the
I figured as much. I was buying time.
I know. I like that. I appreciate it.
I just kept talking. Yeah, no, I knew exactly what you were doing.
Bunch of work. I forgot that I was going to look that up because I was like, oh, yeah.
I knew it was that, or your teacher's, your kid's teacher was texting you because your kid had, like, done some spitball type of thing through a pen.
My middle kid walked in this morning very definitively, looked me in the eyes, and he goes, you know what? 6 + 6 is 11. I was like, no, it's not, but okay, good morning to you. What are you talking about? Like,
it's the new math, Jessi. He's a genius.
It's the
new math.
He didn't elaborate on it. We did ask him, I'm looking at it right here, and he just said, yes, sometimes we consider, but we really like finding the identity of the lines that we have now. So, okay. And we probably didn't do our due diligence. It's morning skate. We're only kind of there just to be like, okay, that's something that would be a deeper question.
Yeah.
But I don't know why you're not. You're right on both points. Kirill and Boldy need each other. Just like, and maybe it's in preparation for Zuccarello coming back. Maybe it's that simple, which is kind of irritating in and of itself. But maybe that's why, right? Like, well, we're not going to have them together anyway because we're going to put Zuki up with Kirill when Zuki comes back, possibly on this road trip. Because it doesn't make sense. You're right. Having Boldy's absence, having Kirill kind of be absent. I mean, he's put up 8 points in 5 games or something like that, 6 games. So I mean, he's still doing Kirill things, but Boldy clearly needs him. But then again, Marcus Johansson isn't doing what he's doing, whether he's missing on in overtime or not. So I don't know. I don't know. And you need to clone Kirill at this point so we can have one on each line. Go out and find another superstar.
Marcus Johansson too. I'm like, I give him credit, but I'm just saying when Boldy played with Kaprizov, which again I was in favor of trying him on the second line, but when Boldy played with Kaprizov, it struck me as a dynamic duo. Okay, Johansson's and look, power play. What 2 power play goals last night? An OT goal for this team. I'm talking about 5-on-5. I just think that we have learned. First of all, this team struggles to score goals, period. But second of all, I guess I would rather buy time by putting Boldy back with Kaprizov because I'm convinced they generate more goals than what we're seeing right now, 5-on-5.
Yeah, the goal of this move, this split up, was to help generate more offense on the second line. The top line was great, but then you move Marcus Johansson up, you bump Matt Boldy down. Matt Boldy's now gone cold. Marcus Johansson's heating up a little bit, but that might just be the circumstance for him. Like he's just benefiting off where he's being put in that environment. Well, guess what? If the second line is not going to score altogether, give me the offensive line on the top that's going to generate more opportunities. And that's probably Matt Boldy on the right wing rather than Marcus Johansson. It to me, it makes sense. And whether or not you're buying time, and I know that was more of a hypothetical quote there by Jessi of, well, they're not going to be put together. It wouldn't shock me if that's how they're thinking about it, though, is the bad thing. But for the time being, until that happens, put your 2 stars together. One is a superstar, and one, I will say this does change my view early season of Matt Boldy, because I thought that the move was going to actually, he was going to be able to carry that line and drive that second line. Now it seems like he's more of a very strong complement to Kirill's game on the top, and he's able to help generate more and work off of that. So it's not negative, but it's also not positive how my view is changing of him. But he's leaps and bounds a better player than Marcus Johansson. They're going to generate more offense. He should go back to the top, at least for a little while here, until you for sure can put a healthy Matt Zuccarello back. And then by all means, use whatever excuse you want, break him up, put him on the second line, and put Matt's back on top. I don't care.
Would it be that Matt Boldy also is in desperate need of not even just Kirill, but another player? Like we talk about Joel Eriksson Ek kind of taking a step back, it seems. And I loved Boldy and Ek together. Like that was my favorite pair. And I think that's also probably part of the problem is Eriksson Ek isn't performing to the standard and level that we're used to seeing him, which I think then in turn affects Boldy. And then Boldy also doesn't have anybody to complement his style, right? Like Kirill, yes, right. I feel like Kirill can complement everyone's style, right? He can get the best out of Victor Rask, for crying out loud. But Matt Boldy, not to say that he's necessarily to that level, but he needs that extra playmaker to help him finish off some of his brilliance too.
Right, yeah, I think that's perfectly put, because Boldy's at a point where he can play like a star if he's with a star, because his skill is so high. But that's a good point. Is Eriksson Ek is not playing like a star right now, and so I mean, if they were still scoring goals, like if everyone else was scoring goals or something, I'd be like, well, that's weird about Matt Boldy not scoring goals. But, last night they scored 2 power play goals and an OT goal. It's not like they're filling up the net. And I was all for breaking up Boldy and Kirill, and now we've seen it. And I'm sort of like, okay, let's go back to at least one line that I think can score and be dynamic. And they're like, no, we have decided. It feels very Dean-like. Like this is the very line. Bullish. Like, I got my line now. It's like, no, man, just break it up. It's fine. It's 2025. This has been going on for a long time. All right, I'll get to one positive thing at the end, but let's go here first. It's so hard, folks. It's so hard. Like, there's not a lot here. Like, if the Wild was playing really well, and I know that they've won their last 2, like, I would love to talk about things that are great. But the Yurov thing, Daniil Yurov has been scratched. Danila.
I always said Danilia too, but I was doing too much. Apparently, it's like vanilla. It's Danila.
Oh, that's a good.
That's how I remember myself.
Jessi.
Yep. Yep.
Vanilla. I like it. Thank you. Anyway, he's been scratched the past 2 games. Now, he was scratched because he needed a reset, especially in the face-off circle. Okay, so on the 4th line last night, Ben Jones' 2nd consecutive game played. In the face-off circle, he was 1 for 1. So that reset. So while Yurov is watching from the press box, Ben Jones, and I'm not surprised, is barely taking face-offs. The other thing is Tyler Pitlick is in. Tyler Pitlick had an egregious giveaway last night, and God bless him, he's a veteran who tries. I don't doubt that. But as we see Hustadinov in Boston doing great things, can somebody please explain to me what the hell is going on here? What are we doing? Like, what's Jessi, you cover this team. You're around this team all the time. What is the point here? Like, Hustadinov is like knocking on the door. He's like, hello, remember me? I'm showing you, like, Hustadinov is the ghost of Wild Past. And Yurov is the ghost of Wild Present, and it's literally like he's like, okay, here's what's going to happen if you continue. What is going on here?
I have no idea. And the frustrating part, you know what you get out of it. Tyler Pitlick's had his career, right? Like, it's fine. This is his career. He doesn't need to prove anything else. You don't need to give him these opportunities. He's had his career. Ben Jones, very similar. Like, they are AHL players. They're great, call-up guys if you need them. They're great, like, 4th-line depth pieces. They are not meant to take the spot of a young kid that was a 1st-round selection that is over here from Russia. Like, let them make the mistakes. You're letting, and it's the picking and choosing for me, right, too. It's like we're letting Zeev make some of these mistakes. We're letting Juracek I'm kind of over the Juracek experience at this point. Like, I'm kind of done with it. Like, it's getting really bad. And again, that's what you're getting by pairing the 2 youngins together. And that's a whole other topic for another day. But I don't get it. Like, Danila is not going to get any better sitting in the press box, and you don't want to send him down. And you're letting Ben Jones make the most of this opportunity, and Tyler Pitlick too. Like, they've done it. They've had their chance. They didn't prove and assert themselves in their young 20s, right? Like, that's just that the experiment is over. And the same, I know people kind of get agitated, like, well, why Liam Ogren? Why are you so bullish on him? I'm not. I just haven't seen enough to say that he's not a good NHL player. Like, I would like to at least see it with my own eyes to say, oh yeah, you're right. He's not a good NHL player. He does belong in the AHL. I can't make that definitive. And same with Yurov. You're getting dangerously close. The problem was, I knew as soon as Ben Jones won a good amount of faceoffs, and as soon as they beat Vancouver, that Yurov was going to sit in the box, at least for that Nashville game, because they were going to roll back with the same exact lines that they did, right, wrong, or indifferent. It just, you knew that's what they were going to do. So it is. And I think Yurov, seeing him, it doesn't seem like it's really beaten him down. I think they are probably very good at having that communication with him. But here's another idea. If you don't like him taking faceoffs, move him to the wing and allow him to learn on the wing. If that's your problem, take Tyler Pitlick out of the lineup, move Yurov over to the ring. You can keep Ben Jones for your center. I don't know. That's my call.
But if Ben Jones is so good at faceoffs, as Eriksson Ek is being pummeled in the circle, if you think he's so good, like supposedly Sturm is going to take faceoffs, and I don't know if he's like going to skate right off and have Eriksson Ek come on. But I mean, Eriksson Ek was getting beat up, bullied in the circle last night, and Ben Jones ain't playing. But I mean, I'll come back to it again. And I would rather go through the Juracek. Like, let's find out. Because if he stinks, then we can declare that Bill Guerin made a terrible trade.
Yep.
But, I'll go back to it. In Boston, Hustadinov, I think he is now playing with Pasta, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
Like,
what a beautiful goal he had last night, too.
But, like, what are we doing here? What are we doing? Why are you doing this? Why are you repeating the same mistake? Tyler Pitlick, God bless him, but he's going to have a normal job here in a couple of years, and maybe he'll join us on the podcast. He can be a co-host. We'll pay him something. But, what are we doing? I don't understand. I don't understand how this is helping. You're not good enough to justify scratching a young player, AJ, who clearly has potential. It's as if you are looking for excuses to bury your prospects. If I was Judd Brackett, I think I'd quit. I think I'd be like, if you guys are gonna pee all over my ideas, then I'll go work for someone who won't. It's maddening to watch. Maddening to watch.
It is. I don't understand what the conversations behind the scenes are, because you see, granted, it might be just there's not a lot of center depth in Boston, but he is the top line center. Murat Husnudinov, ahead of Pavel Zacha, Fraser Minton, Sean Corrali.
But he's impressive.
And he's
doing things.
Impressive. And granted,
Yes.
he's playing with a top 10 player in the league.
What's his win percentage so far this year? Do you have his stats up right now?
Let me find that out.
Because remember, that was the thing that he
That was
was
a big
brought
thing.
in for. He was going to be this great face-off, and I still will never forget his attitude on the first one when he had won his first 2 face-offs with the Minnesota Wild, and we were like, "Yay, good for you!" And he was like, "Yeah," like I mean, so it was like that expectation he had for himself.
According to Hockey Reference, he's 50% even on the year.
Okay.
Oh God, I'd take that in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
So
On this team, he'd be their all-star.
he'd be a superstar. But yeah, this is the same conversation we've had a couple times here now, but now it's just getting ridiculous because Jessi's point of what they're doing on the blue line compared to the forwards is exactly right. And I think it's even maybe arguably even more egregious because there's simply less guys on the blue line. So when you're having Zeev and Jiricek go out there and you're allowing them to go and get time, and I think Zeev is doing enough to where the deficiencies that you see, he's making up for it in the long run. Jiricek, the hope is quickly dwindling for me, at least. Like the game I'm watching is not as good as what we were advertised and promised. That trade is looking worse and worse by the game. But up front, it doesn't make sense to me. Like, and I will complain still, even if they get in the lineup and you bury them on the 4th line. But at least they're playing. They're getting some ice time in the NHL. You have one guy that's scratched because he needs a reset. Meanwhile, Tyler Pitlick is out there losing his helmet, giving the puck away in his own zone. Strap it up, buddy. This is 2 games in a row where he's had chances where he has to get back to the bench.
I love what you just said.
Tighten your helmet.
Well, or let's change the rule. If you are in a clear scoring opportunity, you're an adult, and your helmet comes off, you can continue playing. Like I agree with the rule if it comes off just arbitrarily in the corner, because let's protect you. But this is a professional sport. Yeah. Like if you're like that dude was almost sort of breaking away, his helmet pops off. AJ's right, tighten the damn thing up. But then he's got to think consciously like he's a bantam player. Got to get off the ice. Screw that. Yeah. I want the goal, and it's not his fault because he can be penalized. Mm-hmm. But let's like there's 2 things last night. Let's alter some rules. Like just send me the damn rule book. I'll Gmail you back a couple of things. Like quit being stupid here. Like again, in a playoff game, can you imagine? Connor McDavid breaking away, helmet pops off. Oh, he's got to go to the bench right away. Hey, this is a freaking breakaway. Okay, let's talk about the one good thing real quick here because I got to go. It's the power play. It scored 2 goals last night. It's at 31.5%. Not surprisingly, the Oilers are first, 35%. The Penguins, who have been impressive, are second, 32.4%. But the Wild has the third best power play in the league. And dare I say that I believe of late, it's the second unit that's impressed me more, Jessi, than the first. I think the second unit, which has clicked, has impressed me more. And to your point, they scored the goal last night by Booyam on the only shot of that power play.
Fine. Z Booyam on the power play. Whatever.
Yeah. Well, he got to the front of the net. He rotated it in. I liked what he did there in Faber. That was a nice little pass.
You're right. Like, again, I've always said I like Z. I know Z Booyam is going to be a very, very good hockey player in this league. It's just sometimes it would get, when he's manning that top unit, you're like, oh, like I just get a little nervous. But he's effective, too. He's a great quarterback. He's aggressive offensively, which you love.
Yes. Spurgeon's safe.
Spurgeon's safe, and
Spurgeon's
sometimes
like
I
a
like
marriage.
safe. Like
he's safe. You can come home to Spurge. He'll
Just
be at
reliable.
the point. He'll be passing the puck into the corner. Spurge. Zeev's a Ferrari.
The classic. He's the classic, is what it is. Yeah.
Dating with Zeev. There's a lot of upside.
Yes.
You might run into your soulmate, but also you're going to get a lot of bad.
Oh yeah. Zeev is a Friday night at the bar in college. You do not know what you're going to get, but you know 2 things. You're either going to relish it on Saturday or want to forget it quickly.
You're going to get the experience. You're getting a full experience, a story to tell. No, I mean, it's great, right? And I think teams are still dumb enough to take dumb penalties against them. I think a lot of the opponents that have been rolling into town are well aware of how good their power play has been and are very hyper aware of trying to not take those penalties.
Yep.
And the Minnesota Wild's doing a nice job at baiting them in. You saw Kirill do a couple times. I think Ryan Hartman's done it in the past too. So that's definitely helpful. Still need a 5-on-5.
Oh, 100%.
But yeah, no, you're right. Sorry, we're positive. Yay.
100%. Yep,
I wish
exactly
I
right.
had my little pom-pom.
Yep. No,
Yep.
that was great last night. Okay, we are done.
Go
We
share
are
it
done
in the
because
Dropbox.
as Patrick says, I gotta go. So, Age and I probably back on Friday to talk about the Thursday night tilt against Carolina. Jessi, of course, back next week, and Jessi also, her and Kirsten doing Bar Down Beauties that you can find on the SKOR North feeds as well. So check that out. Plenty of hot flame throwing takes coming from that show as well. I'm Judd. She's Jessi. He's AJ. We'll talk to you later.